Let's go to the Rude Guest Hotline. Rude, the most reliable heating and air conditioning products in the DMV. And welcome onto the show, Matt Moscano, who joins us from Baton Rouge, where he does radio on ESPN, Radio Baton Rouge, but also covers the LSU Tigers and had some reporting yesterday on the Jayden Daniels situation. Matt, you're on in D.C., Jayden Daniels country. Here, Grant and Danny on the Fan. How are you?
The Baton Rouge was Jayden Daniels country, fellas. I'm great. Thank you, man. Thanks for having me.
I think we get to claim that today, right?
Yeah, it was for a while, I think.
That's changed now, it seems. So what do you make of, before we get to your report on the Heisman, what do you make of what happened yesterday?
I think it's just horribly disappointing. I think both the LSU football program and the Washington Commanders would probably rather be focusing on their team in very important fall camp and training camp, respectively, than talking about a jersey number. But I think this would happen sometimes when you have hurt feelings and other things that might get involved in conversations. And unfortunately, it was handled poorly all the way around. And so you had this blow up that reflected very poorly on everyone involved, I think.
How did we get here?
Well, so the first thing I think that's important to note is that LSU, as a policy, does not retire jersey numbers. What they have is akin to what you see in the NFL with a Ring of Honor, right? They've retired jerseys. So the uniform, the number stays in circulation, but they honor their great players that way. So Jayden Daniels 5, Joe Burrow's 9, those are not retired numbers. They can be issued. They just haven't been issued since those guys played. And fall camp started last Wednesday here at LSU, and a few weeks before fall camp, there was a promotional photo shoot. And DJ Pickett, who's an outstanding cornerback, like you'll know his name in another year when he's entering the draft, but he was the number one cornerback in the country, 5-star, the whole deal. DJ Pickett wore number 3 a season ago, and he was photographed in this promotional shoot wearing 5. Someone in the room took a cell phone photo of DJ wearing 5. That leaked. Jayden saw it. Jayden reached out, as I understand it, to some LSU leadership, expressing his displeasure. And I think from there, the ball started rolling with his mother, who's also his agent, as you all will know, Regina, also becoming involved, expressing their displeasure, leading to the cease and desist, the request to the Heisman Trust that they rescind the Heisman Trophy, LSU's copy of the Heisman, and so on. And then it all became public on Wednesday evening with Mark Schlabach's report when he got a hold of the C&D. And then our reporting followed on Thursday morning.
Matt Moscona on Grant and Danny. So what I'm hoping is that Daniels, while he may be miffed and may care and may be annoyed, is being updated by his team about this, but he isn't really involved. And frankly, it's just not that important to him. But I hope my gripe is he needs to tell them this isn't a big deal, let's relax, and not that he's the one working the phones and upset. Is your understanding that he was the one that reached out and called to say this isn't cool, or do you think it was someone with him?
So what I can tell you is that initial communication was Jayden to an LSU administrator. Now, everything subsequent, I don't think Jayden was talking to his attorney to write a C&D, and I don't think Jayden made the phone call to the Heisman Trust. I believe that was his mother who did that. Jayden's 26 years old. He's a millionaire many times over, and he's the quarterback of an NFL franchise. Got a big season ahead of him. And I would also suggest that he would have the autonomy to squash all of this if he wanted to, and he didn't. I think that was maybe where they missed. And I'll tell you, I think, because if you want to look at one other sort of logical, as you're connecting the steps here, you have to look at who released that C&D to ESPN. And because it accompanied a statement from a Daniels representative, it had to come from the Daniels side. And if you're going to release that to ESPN, you know it's going to become a big story. And my guess is that Jayden, his camp around him, however many people that is, I don't know. I mean, I know what it was when he was here. I don't know what it is there now.
What was it when he was there?
It was Regina. It was he and his mom and his dad, Jay. But you got to keep in mind also, guys, that was early NIL era.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that wasn't NIL era where players were making $4, $5, $6 million a year. That wasn't a thing when Jayden showed up in 2022. So I would imagine with the economy around Jayden now being the number 2 pick in the draft, the rookie of the year. I mean, guys, look, make no mistake, man, until 24 hours ago, like no one here ever had an unkind thing to say about Jayden Daniels. He was outstanding when he was here, just as he's been outstanding there. Never a sniff of any wrongdoing, never created a fuss. Great teammates, coaches, everyone loved him. There's kids all over Baton Rouge who wear burgundy Commanders jerseys, 5 jerseys for Jayden Daniels. Like, this was as surprising here, I'm sure, as it is there.
Yeah, we can't wrap our heads around it because it's
so silly.
It's silly. It just seems so small and silly and petty and ridiculous and kind of embarrassing. But B, because it's just out of character for everything. Like, he just seems like this is not something he would can let be an issue. Like, he just seems above this kind of thing.
I get it. I think it's why it surprised a lot of people. And I think Jayden and those around him, whoever's advising him now, I think they just missed. They thought they would get a sympathetic public to this decision, and the exact opposite's happened, because every bit of reaction I got, it's been like 95-5. Like 95% of the people are saying, "Bro, what are you doing? Like, you want them to remove your name and image and likeness off of everything? You want your Heisman back? Like, over someone wearing a number that's not retired? It just doesn't make a lick of sense." And guys, I don't know that this part of the story is as interesting to your audience as the Jayden point of view, but Lane Kiffin's the coach here, and LSU has a tremendous amount of resource invested in Lane, and he knows he has tremendous expectation this year. DJ Pickett is an All-American cornerback. And I had a conversation with a member of Pickett's family and was told in no uncertain terms that when he was being recruited, Oregon, Miami, and LSU, the 3 finalists, were all told his commitment was contingent upon getting the jersey number, getting 5. And so as to say that if LSU didn't promise Pickett 5, he wasn't going to be at LSU. And so Lane Kiffin's sitting there going, that was obviously Brian Kelly's staff, but saying, okay, you're renegotiating a contract in the offseason. I either give this All-American cornerback number 5 and keep him, or don't give him the number and watch an All-American cornerback leave. Like, that's not even a decision. So, of course, Lane Kiffin did the right thing in giving the kid the number that was contractually promised to him in his NIL arrangement. And I think Jayden just reacted in a way that I don't think many people thought it would ever escalate to this.
So I wanted to get into that part of it, the LSU side of things. How have they responded? Various people, whether it's the AD or the coaching staff, et cetera, to these escalating bits of lawfare, warfare, whatever you want to call it. What has their side said?
They've said nothing publicly, and I think they don't intend to say anything publicly. Lane Kiffin made a comment at the start of fall camp a week ago. Guys, just to illustrate how much LSU wanted this to be a non-story, the first practice of fall camp was last Wednesday. When we went out for fall camp, the media, sports information's handing out rosters, whatever. The roster had not yet been updated to reflect DJ Pickett wearing 5. It still said 3. We didn't find out until we walked in and saw him wearing 5 at practice. And then after practice, Lane Kiffin opened with a statement saying DJ's in 5, that's it. And he has not talked about it since. Further, even with all of this, LSU hasn't made a public statement because they don't, number one, they don't want to embarrass Jayden Daniels. Number two, like, Jayden's beloved here. They're not looking to create more division with one of the most beloved and sterling members of LSU storied football history. Like, they don't want this situation where you have a Heisman winner estranged from the LSU football program. Like, they want Jayden here and to be celebrated. So I think they're trying to tamp this down. And even furthermore, yesterday, DJ Pickett, the player now wearing 5, they weren't scheduled to bring him for player interviews a day ago, but they did specifically. I had a conversation with the sports information director. The idea was, listen, he wasn't supposed to come till next week, but if we wait a week, then if this story quiets down, then it dusts back up again in a week when you ask him. So just head down, get through it, and be done with it, and hopefully it goes away. So I think that's everybody's intention. Jayden put out his comment on Instagram. Hopefully whatever it takes from Jayden, people near him, LSU administrators to come together, reach some type of happy medium where everyone can sort of come together and honor Jayden however they see fit, and he can be comfortable with it, and LSU can go on and have a good season.
Matt Moscano from Baton Rouge, Grant and Danny on the Fan. So I just want to bounce something off you and get your thoughts on this. I've made it clear I think this is like a miscalculation and an unforced error by the Daniels group to send the cease and desist, right? But I do understand the frustration if he was promised something and then the school didn't keep up their end of the promise. So I'm curious, what is your take on what the perception is around here? The devil's advocate side would be if they told Daniels exactly what they told Burrow, no one's going to wear your number, and then someone wore the number. Now, I think they overreacted, but is there empathy for Daniels in that regard, or is the point they told him we're going to retire the number, but it doesn't mean no one's going to wear the number based on that 2007 change that they made to say, even if your number's retired, it can still be used on the field?
So it's a very good question, and it's an important note here. When you say LSU said they're not going to issue the number, there's an important point of clarification there. Who is LSU?
Brian Kelly, I guess.
No, because Brian Kelly wasn't even at LSU when Joe Burrow won his Heisman Trophy.
Oh, no. Sorry, I'm talking about the Daniels conversation
I
would have been with Kelly.
I understand.
Yeah.
But we're talking about the same person that told Joe and Jayden that. I'd rather not name the person because it's just not worth saying. But suffice to say, the person who said that to them has no autonomy whatsoever to make that type of a determination. LSU's Hall of Fame and jersey retirement and statue protocols are all spelled out in black and white. I mean, you guys obviously have seen them. You referenced them. So the person who said that does not have the autonomy to make that decision.
Interesting. So you're saying, Matt, that somebody, like when they reference that Jayden was lied to, in other words, you're saying, and you're not speculating, you're pretty confident on this, that the person that suggested that was not like an AD or someone with the program that has the ability to even follow through on that.
Correct. The only people that could make that determination is the Hall of Fame committee and the very clear black and white bylaws. It was not an athletic director or a coach that made that promise to Joe and to Jayden that they wouldn't issue the number again. And that's kind of the problem, right? When you have people maybe talking out of turn that make a promise that's unrealistic or that they themselves can't keep. And one thing I don't mind sharing with you guys, because I saw Joe's comments as well yesterday, because Joe said point blank, they told me that they weren't going to issue my number. Well, again, who's they? It's the same person. But I had a conversation with a very high-ranking LSU official yesterday, who I'd rather not name, who told me point blank, if LSU has an opportunity to sign the number one quarterback in the country or the number one portal quarterback, and it's contingent upon that person wearing number 9, the word to me, the exact phrase was, then we're going to go have an uncomfortable conversation with the Burrows. Because you can't just rope off single-digit numbers that all the best players want to wear. And especially when your policy doesn't retire numbers, you can't take them out of circulation. Guys, I don't know about you, but like Tim Tebow had the greatest college career of anyone I've seen with my eyes.
Uh-huh.
I had to watch him for 4 years at Florida. I've seen Florida give a punter 15. They gave Graham Mertz 15. Fernando Mendoza just won a Heisman in December. A walk-on at Indiana this year is wearing Fernando Mendoza's 15. Like, it's just not a thing that most people actually consider. I would argue if you want to hold LSU at fault on something, and I have said this since literally the day Joe Burrow finished his career and when Jayden finished his, the day those guys finished their career, there's a 5-year waiting period. They should have waived the 5-year waiting period. They both should have had their jerseys retired, and they should have built them a statue, because the other Heisman Trophy winner is Billy Cannon, and he has a statue on the west side of Tiger Stadium. It would have been so easy to already be done, and this likely never happens because Jayden would have felt beloved and honored and immortalized and all that stuff, and then we're never having the conversation about the jersey number. But here we are.
You kind of led me to my question. Has there been a misstep here by LSU? Because I'm just looking at it from the Daniels perspective, and I'm with you. I think they thought that statement would land beautifully, and it was a fart in church, right? That how aggrieved we are, how disrespected we are, and everyone's going, wait, what? But has LSU kind of made any missteps here in your view? Could they have handled something differently? I'm trying to find that. I don't know that there is.
That's the one that I think just policy-wise that I would like to see LSU tighten up. The other is they could have proactively gone to Jayden. And apparently, and I haven't spoken to Brian Kelly. I reached out to him yesterday. He didn't get back with me, but he was quoted by ESPN and said a year ago they asked Jayden, and Jayden was not okay with DJ Pickett wearing the number, so that's why Pickett wore number 3 last year. But very clearly this year, new coach Lane Kiffin honored the promise made to DJ Pickett contractually, and maybe if they had gone preemptively to Jayden and said, here's the situation, we're going to give him 5, we'd love your blessing, we're going to honor you when the time comes, all that, maybe it cuts this off at the pass. I just don't think anyone thought it would escalate to this level. It's not a defense of LSU. It's not a defense of Jayden. I think both share their blame when something like this goes the way it did. So obviously it could have been handled better, I think, on both sides. At times and in points.
How much of this is that Daniels was upset that he's treated differently than Burrow, and how is he viewed there compared to Burrow? Everyone just points out that they both won Heismans, but obviously Burrow was the quarterback of the number 1 LSU team ever, maybe, and a national championship team.
I don't want to speak for Jayden, so I'd just say, ask Jayden that question. What I will say is, when Jayden reached out to LSU administrators, that is one of the things he mentioned. Like, you treat me differently than 9, meaning Burrow. I'm only going to give you my point of view. I can give you a collective point of view of the fan base, which, look, Joe Burrow was the first Heisman Trophy winner in 60 years. It was quite literally the greatest college football team we've ever seen. It was something so unexpected and so euphoric, and it stands in this sort of pantheon on a shelf all by itself. 2019, we all know that. But I don't think, we can have 2 separate conversations. I don't think people need to devalue Jayden to validate their point of view. Like, Jayden Daniels was flipping amazing here. That 23 season, 3,800 passing yards, 40 touchdowns, 1,100 rushing yards, 10 touchdowns. I mean, he willed that team to 10 wins. I mean, he was so spectacular. He won the Heisman on a 3-loss team. I mean, we should never, ever justify a point of view by devaluing one of the most spectacular seasons any of us have ever, or quite literally will ever see. So that's one part of this that I really hate, is that you do have this controversy, whatever you want to call it. And I'm just speaking from an LSU point of view, guys. It's drawn a line in the sand, and it's made people pick. And either way, whichever side you jump, you're either jumping against your school or you're jumping against one of the most beloved players in the history of the school. And no matter which side of the line you jump on, it just sucks. It just sucks to be opposed to the other. And overwhelmingly, people are siding with LSU because they'll always love their school first. And I think both can be true. And it's really unfortunate, man. Look, guys, there's not a bigger Jayden Daniels fan than me, man. Like, when they recruited him from Arizona State, there were a lot of people here who wanted Miles Brennan to be the quarterback. I was like, y'all are crazy. They didn't recruit the 3-year starter from Arizona State with crazy legs, who's like that incredible ability to like sit on the bench and watch. So, and obviously he made me look really smart and proved a lot of people right. And I mean, I hope he goes on and has a Hall of Fame career for you guys. I think the world of him. Every interaction I ever had covering him, saw him and Regina at the Super Bowl at Radio Row this year. I mean, it's why it's so disappointing. It's just so, like where we started, guys, it's so out of character. And I think, I don't think that this is a sign of more to come. I just think it's a momentary lapse. It's an exception, not the rule. It's a blip that hopefully everybody can get over.
Matt, let's get to your story. The status of that Heisman Trophy, is it going to be the subject of Ocean's 14? Is there like a caper in the works here? What do we got?
So this, I'm interested. It's interesting because I guess a lot of people don't realize. So there are 2 copies of of every Heisman Trophy. So the player gets a copy and the school gets a copy to display. Daniel's folks called the Heisman asking for the Heisman LSU's copy to be rescinded so that they could display it at Jayden's high school. And the Heisman folks said that's really not an option. And LSU has I'm less than zero intention of giving up their copy of the Heisman Trophy. And guys, nor should they. I mean, Jayden's outstanding. So too was LSU's effort to support Jayden with players and coaching and the ability to play on that platform and in Tiger Stadium and all the things. And then the Heisman campaign itself that they put on. I mean, LSU has every right to display that trophy. And with every conversation I had yesterday, some of them were actually pretty comical off the record. But no, let's suffice to say that the Heisman is staying there. And to the compliance with the cease and desist, it's worth mentioning the cease and desist is not a legally binding document. It's a request. And I mean, I had some administrators tell me they want to take us to court, and I don't think anybody wants that. So I doubt it elevates to that level. I hope it doesn't elevate to that level. But the Heisman that's on display, and guys, if you look at my Twitter, I posted, if I was in football ops today, I posted a photo of it. It's still there, and it's not going anywhere. It's going to stay there.
So what happens then? I guess we can end here. I mean, if we don't think it ends up in court and it's just basically their request to not use his NIL, how does this end?
Yeah, the strange thing is you think of all the different ways. For just one, for example, if you come to a game in Tiger Stadium during the TV timeouts, there's a video they play, and it's like Tigers in the NFL. And so they play like the NFL theme music, and then they have this splash screen, and it's all the former LSU players playing in the NFL. It elicits these huge cheers. Like, the biggest cheers are always Jayden and Joe, like the Heisman winning quarterbacks, because of course they are. You can take Jayden Daniels off that video? I mean, it's mind-boggling to think. My hope is yesterday was so bad for the Daniels side of this that take a step back, breathe, have a conversation with the LSU brass. Like, 5 is going to be worn. What can we do to move forward amicably and get you back in the fold, and we can all get along well? And hopefully they can come to whatever agreement that is, and this stops. Because continuing to go down the road, guys, it doesn't serve Jayden as he's getting ready for a very important season coming off of injury. It certainly doesn't serve LSU as Lane Kiffin's starting a massively important season that's going to be under so much scrutiny. Like, this isn't a thing either side needs, and they're better together. So hopefully that's the conversation that'll happen that Jayden sort of alluded to in his Instagram post yesterday, and hopefully that's what will happen moving forward.
Matt, great with us, man. Great reporting, and enjoy the weekend, buddy. Thank you.
Okay, guys. Thank you.
You got it. Matt Moscano, LSU in Baton Rouge. We've got some